Welcome back, everybody, to the Boston Celtics Newsfeed, powered by CLNS Media. I'm Mike Walsh, manager of the Celtics Newsfeed, and this is day 21 of our 2017-18 NBA preview. We'll be going day by day, releasing team previews leading up to opening night, October 17th in Cleveland. We're trying to find out which teams in the NBA have the best chance against your Boston Celtics. Now, before we get started, wanted to mention that the CLNS Media team has been all over training camp and throughout the preseason. We've been uploading press conferences, garden reports, all sorts of content to our YouTube page. That's youtube.com/CLNS Media. It's packed with content from the preseason. So head over there, subscribe to youtube.com/CLNS Media, and don't miss a thing in this charge up to the 2017-18 season. So each of these preview podcasts are going to be accompanied by an outline blog post on our site, clnsradio.com. Today I'm going to be speaking with CLNS Media contributor Vince Rodemer about his preview for the Philadelphia 76ers. The trust in the process may finally pay off this season as the Sixers looked poised for a breakout year with back-to-back number one picks and a truly gifted stud center. They'll be very much intertwined with the Celtics this season and beyond, so without further ado, let's get into Day 21 of the Boston Celtics Newsfeed's 2017-18 NBA season preview with Vince Rodemer and the Philadelphia 76ers. Alright, so let's dive right into this. There's not a whole lot to talk about with the Sixers from last season. Obviously, we'll get into what happened this offseason, but give us your take initially. You have them rising all the way to the 4 seed in the East, maybe getting up to 50 wins. What has you so high on the Sixers entering 2017-18?
Well, I think when Embiid's on the floor, he's a top 5 player in the NBA. He's shown that in the sample size he has. Last night he looked great. 22 points, 15 minutes. You don't see anyone outside of Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, maybe Russell Westbrook putting up those type of per minute numbers. And then you have 1 overall pick, Ben Simmons and Markelle Fultz. Then you had a guy like JJ Redick, who's a very good regular season shooter. I think a lot of people are discounting this type of talent by simply the fact they haven't played together and they just don't see that level of talent that's there.
Yeah, it's going to be the bias of young kids being unable to compete against the grown men that will be taking the court against them. But yeah, Joel Embiid certainly looked like you put a grown man last night. He was playing who'd they play, Brooklyn last night? He just dominated. That was his preseason debut. Let's dive back into that offseason that they had. So what was your view on the trade that went down that delivers the number one pick to Philadelphia and thus delivers Markelle Fultz to it?
I think it was a great trade. I think when Sam Hinkie compiled all the assets that he did, I think he had that type of move in mind. Of course, he's not there to make it, but you compile all those things and you want to make a move like that to acquire premium talent, and that's exactly what Brian Colangelo did. And that's, that trade came about because he had pick swap from the Kings. He had all these future picks, the Lakers pick, which, some people are claiming it's going to be, late teens, and I still think it's going to be between 4 and probably 8. I think the Lakers are still garbage,
sure.
Regardless of, Lonzo Ball or Kyle Kuzma, what they add in the draft. But, you make a move like that and, they believe in Fultz, and I think he's going to be a good player.
Yeah, so this kind of does break down into 2 separate parts, this trade itself. The first part is the trade itself, the Celtics dealing from 1 to 3. The second part is the Sixers taking Fultz. I don't know personally if that was the decision all along from the point of them picking up the phone and talking to Ainge, but for you, would you put Fultz at the top of, I guess it's really a 2 or 3 person race there, Fultz versus Lonzo Ball versus Jason Tatum, or you can throw in anybody else if you were that high on anyone else coming out in this draft. Do you take Fultz number 1?
I would take Fultz number 1, yeah. Lonzo Ball, I see, the passing, especially in some of his games I watched when he was at UCLA. I see more of an Andre Miller type player. I don't see a Jason Kidd. I have Ball a little bit lower. I have Tatum lower. I watched him play a lot last year. That team partially didn't have any leadership at all. That's why they flamed out in the NCAA tournament again. But Tatum just didn't do enough for me from what I saw.
Keywords there, NCAA tournament, where Markelle Fultz was not, though.
Yeah, that was more of a Washington thing. Romar was fired. Yeah. He's not a good coach. And
for sure.
Fultz did honor his commitment to go to Washington after DeJounte Murray and Marquise Chris left after 1 year. They kind of thought that was going to be the team, and that didn't happen.
That's the big pickup this summer. The big pickup last summer did not play his first season. That's going to be Ben Simmons. You write on CLNSradio.com, you think, and Brett Brown clearly thinks as well, that he's going to enter the season being the kind of starting point guard. What do you see from Ben Simmons in the preseason? He had a rough time shooting the ball, but overall, what did you see?
Some of the passes that Ben Simmons can make, the only guy I've seen that make these passes is someone like LeBron. The one where he drove in the lane and then just looked for the defender and flipped it underneath for an easy basket. That's Ben Simmons right there. He's not going to shoot the ball very well, at least from the beginning, but he can make other guys better. He can get to the basket pretty much whenever he wants, and he can get the free throw line whenever he wants, kind of. So that's kind of what I see out of Ben this year.
Okay, and sort of their last addition is through free agency, they wind up bringing in JJ Redick, which I think universally was viewed as a great move for this team, bringing some veteran leadership and just a guy who can knock down shots. And he had a very hot preseason, so he looks like he's geared up and ready to go. What do you think of him and how he sort of fits with Fultz or Simmons or whatever they wind up doing in that backcourt?
Well, Redick's a guy that the Sixers haven't had in probably since Kyle Korver. That is a high percentage knockdown three-point shooter. You have him, you have Robert Covington, you have Embiid. That's more shooters than last year, last 2-3 years. So I think when you have a guy like Redick, you can get some easy threes in transition. We saw it last night against the Nets. It's kind of, even, especially with Simmons, the way he can distribute the ball, you're going to get a lot more open shots.
Yeah, that's really been their biggest issue, sort of trying to get some of these guys to develop, and you could throw Jahlil Okafor, former number 3 overall pick, in there. They just haven't had guard play to get these guys involved, and that's hopefully what a healthy Simmons brings to the table. Markelle Fultz can bring to the table with just his, ability to draw coverage and his handle. So the guard play looks to be massively improved. You have them improving quite a bit. I think their over-under is in the low to mid 40s, and you're gonna clock them in here at 50 and 32, rising to the 4 seed, and that's gonna put them right there with the Celtics. That matchup, I guess, would be, in your take, a possible second round matchup. What would, what do you see in that, say, a 7-game series?
I think that's going to be, pretty good series. I think, especially Embiid. I don't see anyone in the Celtics that can guard Embiid. I don't see anyone really in the East that can guard Embiid, outside of maybe LeBron, if he wants to. But that's going to be a really tough matchup there. And it's whether the young guards can battle the Celtics guards for the rest of the time there.
Yeah, defensively for Philly, you have to, at least question marks with two, essentially, they are two rookies, I guess. Simmons is considered a rookie this year. Two rookies going up against, Kyrie Irving and, Gordon Hayward as well on the wing. Definitely, that would be, I think, the biggest question mark. Today's episode of the Newsfeed Preview Podcast Series is sponsored by Greats. Makers of the all-time greats, classic, stylish, and comfortable sneakers sold at a great price. How do I know that they're at a great price? Well, I have a pair. How do I know that they're comfortable? I'm literally wearing them right now at my desk while recording this. Head over to greats.com. You can check out their wide selection of men's and women's shoes. They have great sneakers suitable for any occasion. I have a pair of the all-leather Royale lace-ups. They are white on white. I'm trying to keep them as clean as possible because they are super fly. You can check those out. Check out the Wooster slip-ons. A lot of other great styles over at greats.com. And we've got a special deal for our audience on the newsfeed. Save 15% on your first order with our offer code Celtics Roundtable. Go to greats.com. That's GREATS.com and enter the code Celtics Roundtable to save 15% at checkout. Greats believes so much in their shoes that they're offering a no-risk return and exchange policy that will guarantee you get the right fit and style that you're going to love. That's greats.com and use the code Celtics Roundtable and save 15%. I want to jump back though in just the team building in Philadelphia is so superb. Just had a quick look at their sort of salary, and the only guy making north of, there's two guys making double digits. Both are 1-year deals, both the guys who they brought in this year, Amir Johnson, JJ Redick. So both will be technically off the books. And then you'll look at Jared Bayless has 2 years left, but under 10 mil. Markelle Fultz is the next biggest contract, and he's a rookie. How much credit do you give to Sam Hinkie versus Brian Colangelo and how he's sort of taken over and molded this into a slightly different looking team?
I give all the credit to Sam Hinkie. I think Brian Colangelo was given the ball on the 1-yard line. And had to go the 1 yard, with making the Fultz trade and then, the extension for Embiid. I think that's, that's kind of what he was given. So I think you have all that flexibility. You still have all the flexibility. As someone that does want to, come aboard, wants to sign for big money. Or I think I think the more possible scenario would be to re-sign Redick and then keep everyone else with extensions and maybe look for like secondary pieces.
Yeah, well, one of those extensions is going to go to Joel Embiid, who just got paid. And I mean paid. Your thoughts on that, given that he's played all of, I think, 32 NBA games?
You can't let a talent like that, move on somewhere else. And I think from what I've heard yesterday, most of that contract was so that the Sixers have the terms. Mm-hmm. And if he goes into restricted free agency, another team can give him an offer sheet, the Sixers can match it, but then the Sixers are matching their terms, so you don't have the injury insurance type stuff that's in this contract. So that's why they made that.
Yeah, in terms of talent like that, you want to be the one that sets the market on it, not have it set for you. But I guess I would be remiss in just not mentioning the injury thing, the injury concern. Obviously, Ben Simmons missed his entire rookie season. Markelle Fultz got hurt in college, and like I just said, Joel Embiid in 3 NBA seasons has played 30 some odd games. You're not worried about that with your prediction of 50 wins, or is that calculated in there, and you just think the depth on this team with guys like Saric and Okafor and the depth of these guys is taken into account for that 50 wins?
I'm not really concerned about the Embiid, the knee injury from last year, because that was a minor injury. It was just a matter of them setting him out and just, kind of making sure it heals right. That was considered a month to 2 month injury. The Simmons injury, the broken foot, Jones fracture, I actually had that same injury. I did it playing basketball on vacation, when I was in college, and it's considered maybe a 2 to 3 month injury, as long as you let it heal. He got the screw put in, I didn't, and once you get the screw put in, it's kind of something that once it heals, it's healed. You can re-break it, but it's not any different than if you broke it the first time. There's no higher risk of re-injury there. Fultz, I'm not too familiar with what he had in Washington. I know he's had some knee trouble, but that seems like the type of thing, it's kind of like soreness that comes with probably every guy that plays basketball.
Alright, so one last time, 50 and 32. You have him as the 4 seed in the East. Vince Rodemer, any last minute thoughts on the Sixers and potential playoff series with the Celtics?
I'm excited to see it.
Alright, thanks so much, Vince. You can follow Vince on Twitter at @V_Rod35. That's at @V_ROD35. He's going to be writing for us on CLNS, hopefully the CLNSmedia.com site pretty soon. Thanks, Vince. We will talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to day 21 of the Boston Celtics Newsfeed's 2017-18 NBA preview. Again, you can get more analysis on the CLNSradio.com site and view any of our previous episodes at youtube.com/CLNSmedia. Follow CLNS on Twitter at CLNS Media and myself at CLNS_Walsh. Be sure to subscribe to the Celtics Newsfeed, rate and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, and of course, the CLNS Media Network's mobile podcast app. Until next time, this is Newsfeed Manager Mike Walsh, signing off.